Alright guys, so it's time to start cleaning or tearing apart this carburetor and cleaning it up. Turn the fan on in here. There we go, nice little air circulation. So now I've never done this before. Picked myself up a little metal can, picked myself up a couple cans of carburetor cleaner. I was looking for the actual gallon cans full of carburetor cleaner, but I actually couldn't find any. So I figured I'm going to take the parts off, I'm going to use the spray cans with the toothbrush and let all the excess drop into there. Maybe I'll have enough to soak some parts in, I don't know. So like I said, I've never done this before. I mean, I've had this carburetor apart, but I have no clue what I'm doing. So let's get started, shall we? Take the screws out, and this screw. Hoping this is a successful rebuild here. Now keep in mind, I mean, like I said, I've never done this before. I'm bound to make mistakes. I'm bound to do things back-asswards differently than everybody else, but I'm learning something. And one thing that I've learned over time, whether you're doing this or anything, is always keep your screws and nuts, bolts, and everything, just keep them organized, because it can really ruin your day quick. So, alright, we've got that apart. And we'll pull this top off. And we've got all the fancy little parts in there. There's one gasket that needs to get pulled off. And like I said, I've had this carburetor apart, and that's why all this stuff is already disassembled. And I'll obviously show you how, in the reassembly process, to put it back together. That's the little pin. There's the needle. Maybe I can show you now what I was talking about earlier. Light on. Focus. Focus. It's going to focus on it. I don't know if it's going to focus on it. There it is. You see it's rubber tipped. Unlike the other one. Here, we'll hold them up together so you can see both of them together. See, the new one is metal tipped, so it's going to be interesting to see how it works. Like I said, don't get your new parts mixed up with your old parts. Here is our float. So we're going to start by tearing this part, taking it all apart, taking all of the gasket here off. Hopefully it comes off. Oh, look at that. Now that is a beautiful thing. It just came right off. We're going to set this over here because we have a bunch of gaskets to compare it to. And this kit is clearly for several different carburetors. So yeah, just initially looking at this, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. It really is. So, you know, sometimes I guess some people would like to take the butterfly here, that's actually the choke, off and get it all cleaned up. I think I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm going to do just a little bit of general cleanup around the, you know, the outside and obviously the inside of the carburetor, and then I think I'm just going to put it back together, or move on, excuse me. So, set this here. We'll open up our can of carburetor cleaner. We will take great advantage of our free fancy little straw they gave us. It never seems to fit right, although it did this time. And we'll just start spraying it down and cleaning it. This is where the toothbrush comes in handy. Yeah, it's getting a lot of it off, but it's not quite good enough. Can I manipulate this to go in the can? Yes, I can. So let's do it this way. Alright. So we can let that soak for a moment or two. There. All the right parts are soaking. Perfect. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pull this out now that it's soaked for a few minutes. do some fancy brush work here. Gotta get it all cleaned up nice and neat. And this is obviously a long process, so I'm not going to sit here and film the whole thing, but you get the general idea and get it all cleaned up. So that, I believe, is about as clean as it's going to get. So now we're going to get fancy with some compressed air. I'm going to point it this way though, get a lot of the excess off. Compressor will probably start up. There we go, happy times. Now, much better, not perfect, but like I said, about as good as it's going to get. Now this top piece is pretty much done, so we're going to go ahead and set it aside, and we're going to start pulling the fuel pump apart and cleaning that up. And basically what we're doing on this first edition is pulling everything apart and getting it cleaned. And then we're gonna, obviously, after that, we're going to put it all back together, get it back on the tractor, and get it started up. And keep our fingers crossed. So, good times. Okay. And you want to be careful how this stuff comes apart. These things have, you know, springs and all. Let me show you. Look at that. You really want to just be careful. Keep in mind where everything goes so you don't start losing pieces. And we're going to go ahead and just leave this part alone exactly how it is. We're going to set it aside over there. We'll worry about that later. This, I believe, is where all of our problems are lying. Now, I'll show you the bottom of this diaphragm here. Focus. There we go. You see how cruddy that is? I think that is where our fuel was leaking through and getting into the crankcase. So, we got a new one though, so we're happy. Alright, so set that aside, and now, I mean, for the most part, what we're left with, I don't want to mess with any of the adjustments. You've got your idle adjustment right here. Down on the bottom side of the fuel pump, you have your mixture adjustment. And I really just don't want to mess with any of these until it's time for the reassembly process, because I want to get them all back in exactly how they came out. So we're going to go ahead and just loosen this vise up. Look at how grody that is. That is just nasty. And we're going to start working on getting this cleaned up. Remove the screws from the bottom. Keep those together. Go ahead and pull this gasket off because we got a new one, and we're going to set it aside with our other gasket just how we did before. And I really don't think, darn it, it's not going to fit in there, so that's okay. We'll just mix our toothbrush around in there. Well, after screwing around with it for a while, I realized it was just a much better idea to take the thing outside and open up the can on it and get most of that bulk stuff off. Now we can come in here, now that most of that's off, and really do a good job getting the rest of it cleaned up. Just dipping the toothbrush in the can that we had from earlier. Alright, it's looking pretty good. Now, one more part to take off of it, but to do that, I'm going to go ahead and put these bolts back in the bottom and mount it back up in the vise, blow it off with the compressed air real good, dry some of that carburetor cleaner up because I hate when this stuff gets all over your hands. There we are, back in the vise. Now we'll blow it off. Alright, surfaces out, make sure it's doing something. This is an important one right here. See that coming out the fuel pump? This is what delivers the fuel from the pump up into the bowl. Feels nice and clear. Blow it the other way. Good. Everybody's happy. Now, what we want to do, see if I can turn the vise around enough, show you. There's a big bolt right here. We're going to go ahead and pull that bolt off. I don't think it was, no. What a 5/8. 5/8, look at that. There we go. Get this one yanked out of here. I'm not 100% sure what's behind here, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of on-camera investigation here. Okay, that looks like it's going to be our jet. A jet. One of the jets. I don't know. It's an Allen head. Looks pretty tight too. I don't know if this Allen wrench. Oh yeah, I'm fitting here this way. Make sure it's seated in there good. There we go. Now I'm not seeing one of these with the carburetor. So there's what that is behind that little 5/8 bolt. See if I can use some magic to get the camera to focus on it. That is our jet. Let's see, hold my fingers closer to it. Maybe it'll focus now. Anyway, Allen head, jet. We'll go ahead and just blow through this, and I mean you can see daylight through it, so that's got to mean something good, right? It's at the lowest point in the carburetor bowl. It actually had some crap that blew out of it, like some dust. Alright, we're going to set that there. We'll go ahead and looky there. Let's go ahead and blow that out too while we're at it. See that blow out? Awesome. So, let's blow some of this through it. I'm out. Go away. I got another can I can open up though if need be. See that? I'll run it by in slow motion real quick. So, the only thing left is the float. Oh, look at that. The float floats in the carburetor cleaner. How about that? Now, we're going to go ahead and get these fuel pump parts as well, but because of the way these little springs are on here and everything, I'm not going to touch the fuel pump parts until I'm ready to put it all back together. That way I don't get any screwed up or confused or anything like that. So, anyway, thanks for watching. The next installment will be reinstalling everything and hopefully having a running tractor. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.